love about you? How you serve others. How you take the time to care about each person that you know. You want to know them. You want to learn about them. You want them to share what they've been through. Then you share what you've been through. It's like you always have a point of connecting in that way. You know, share a little pain, get a little pain, connection. You know? And I didn't know that existed until you. And then I learned what it was like to share a lot of pain and love through. So it's like you're teaching me, and I don't even think you mean to. But at the same time, you're loving me. And then you're caring about me, and then you're taking care of me. And yeah, I get on your nerves. I mean, I'm not a by all trophy of any kind. I'd like to be, I don't think I'll ever be. But I know that I everything that I feel, I don't feel alone because of you. You know, you're my essence. It's the flow of how I want to live the rest of my life. And I wanted to be able to make sure that I'm not in these things. That don't look good. I don't like that at all. So I just wanted to really say, you know, thank you for doing this with me. All of it. And thank you for your connection. It brings me to life. I like who you are. I love who you are. You get on my nerves. You constantly are picking on me. But you know what? I've noticed that about you. When you really love someone, you really pick on them. You know,
Get that from my grandfather.
Yeah, I bet. Oh, I know it's definitely on your dad's side of the family somehow.
My dad was bad for it. My dad was the worst.
He wasn't the worst, he was the best. Because I love his daughter, so I can tell you, man, that man has one hell of a spirit. Feel it in you. In some ways, that kind of helped me learn how to be a better man. Just choices, you know. You can choose to be living completely out of your head, being out there and just meeting person after person and never really having any substance. And what I mean by substance is no feeling. You know, you can have a feeling, but it's a fleeting feeling. Right. But when you really have a feeling, it's a different. It's the experience of love. The deeper that feeling can actually feel into different aspects. Just even aspects of stuff that you shelved, you know. Yeah. Personal pain, life, love. It's powerful in its own way. Yeah, there's a never-ending list of all the ways that I love you and why, and how deeply it is for me. I mean, even making the bed with you, coming down and being in the kitchen with you, sitting on the couch with you, walking with you, going on adventures to concerts with you.
Going to Florence and pick up bar stools.
Going and picking up bar stools. Yeah.
In the back of the truck here.
Right.
Here, by the way.
Yeah. But see, the beautiful thing, I guess, is we do it together, you know. I think it's, you know, if you're by yourself, it's really a profound experience when you can be by yourself with the person you're connected to. Like, there's a space there where I know that you're always there, and I always want you to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was. I didn't know that you could have that. I don't think many people do. And then I can know you when you're feeling my heartbeat. I get little flutters in my heart.
Yeah.
I love that. I still get them.
I do too.
Yeah.
I get them a lot on like Fridays when I've got the house cleaned up and we're settling in for the
And you
weekend.
have all the candles lit, and you throw out some Pride McKnight.
Yeah, stop with the windshield wipers. It's not raining here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just so focused on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I was being present.
Yeah, it's yeah, I feel excited like it's a date night or something. Or like we get to just be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, for a couple days and just do what we do. Do us, you know what I mean? And it's I don't know. It's something that I look forward to. I look forward to the weekends when we're not so busy, but if we are, it's busy doing stuff that we want to do, not that we have to do or we should be doing.
The greatest thing I'm learning from pain is going through that week through the pain like that. Going through my weeks like I do through pain, and staying connected to pain to bring people into it so they can heal, right? I look at when I finally get that space with you, there's all of that love that was inside of that pain is there. And it's just like we get to really kind of bask in it and glow in it. Because, pain is birth. And rebirthing is probably one of the most important things we can do for ourselves. For that residual pain and hurt. You bring that out of me. There's no other kind of love that does that. I don't think. It's supposed to be painful. You don't love if it's not pain involved.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just don't realize how important they are to each other, and that even though it can be blissful at times, you don't need the bliss all the time. You need to know that you can have a deeper bliss. You'll know that by your deeper pain.
Right.
And you've shown me that in so many beautiful ways. And that love has connected me to a lot of things that I don't think I would have known how to do otherwise.
What do you mean?
Family, sense of family. I think my parents were probably so focused on getting away from family to create family that they didn't know the support structure, how to create a new support structure beyond what they were in.
Yeah.
It's all connection based. You don't even realize that the patterns are still being infiltrated because the parents are still carrying what they were raised in.
Right.
It's like you're trying to leave something or create something in a different space. Maybe it comes back stronger, maybe it doesn't.
Right.
But it's all in a connection based form. Right. It really does have an effect from what your grandparents did to what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And the outlook is you're on this path and it's singular and it's so separate. And yes, each individual experience is. It's just the things that happened to you created a belief system that got you knocked out.
Right.
We don't remember what connection is because we don't practice it.
And it's interesting that it's sort of hard to learn when you're not taught it, right?
You're taught it. You just taught it from such an angle that it was so disconnected.
Well, I was taught disconnect. I wasn't taught connect.
Were you?
Yeah, I was taught disconnect. I was taught how to disconnect.
Not just from you like disconnect from your own feelings.
Yeah, everything.
And did that play a lot in the choices you made?
Yes. Yeah, a whole lot. A whole lot.
But you can't see it though. You can't see it at the time that it's happening. It's impossible to know that that's what you're doing.
Right.
It's like an autopilot for disconnect. Because it depends, the way that you were disconnected from and all the ways that it happened. What do you feel was your greatest lesson learned from
Oh, gee. There's so much, right? It's hard to pinpoint, like, I think in my mind, or I go from one tragic situation to another, right? But I want to say tragic, but I don't feel that. Does that make sense? Just kind of one maybe situation to the next, and some are peaceful and some are painful, right? What have I learned from learning disconnect, right? Is simply how to disconnect in all the ways, not just the one way, right? Not just disconnecting from people, like you said. I can disconnect from my own feelings, from my own thoughts, and being sexually abused, being able to disconnect and go someplace else in your mind is really, really easy, right? Because I was conditioned to go someplace in my mind while being, you know what I mean, sexually abused.
Would you say you inherited that kind of from your mom?
Yeah, for sure.
Because it probably happened to her.
Oh, no, it did. Yeah, for sure.
It did?
Yes.
So she only knew how to repeat what she'd see?
Yeah. And I mean...
It doesn't make you ignorant. It just makes you not aware.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And I've really have learned how to go on.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, not stop in my tracks and stand there stoic, right? There's no learning in that. There's no growing in that dark space of, some people would call it like the dark night of the soul, or it could be depression, it could be a number, anxiety, it could be a number of things, right? But I've learned not to hold on to something like a feeling like that, like depression or anxiety, or I've learned not to feed into those, right? What I've learned to feed into is my thought process.
Right.
And I never wanted to learn it, and it's hard to unlearn a thought process, right? Because we're humans and we have a brain, and it's hard to understand that. I've lost my concentration. What was I talking about?
It's hard to...
Oh, yeah, it's hard to learn how to... I forget what I was talking about, but it's hard to learn how to do something when you've learned how to do the opposite. Does that make sense? It's like, okay, we're going to teach you how to drive in a big semi, right? We're going to teach you how to drive, and now you know how to drive a big semi, and then somebody hands you the key to the car, and then, right? And then you just... I didn't learn that way. I didn't learn how to drive a car. I learned how to drive a semi, right? It's how do you unlearn how to drive the semi and learn how to drive the car? It's how do I unlearn how to disconnect and then learn how to connect?
Right.
When I was taught disconnect.
Right.
And so
Well, what did you feel it disconnected you from?
It disconnected me from reality a lot of times. It disconnected me from self-love, from self-care. It disconnected me from the God in me, and it turned me into the human in me, the guarded human in me.
Right.
The human with the walls, and the human with no emotion, and the human that easily can swallow pain
or ignore it.
Right.
But the majority of it was ignoring the pain, right?
Yeah.
That's how you were. I mean, that's the disconnected self.
Not even admitting that I was in pain. Right. Not speaking up, not saying something when I was younger. Right. When I was 10, 11, 12, I went through that whole process of, my gosh, why was I so silent? Well, I know why I was silent, right? This big, huge man was controlling me and threatening me, right? Threatening to touch my sister. So I would I'd be very protective of that, and I learned how to protect. I learned how to protect her real well. And in learning how to protect her, I learned how to disconnect from myself, and I learned how to start taking care of other people. Nobody was taking care of me, right? No, not one person was taking care of me. And my feelings and what I was going through. Nobody knew, right? Because there's so many threats and so much controlling. I knew how to not say anything. I knew how to swallow emotion. I knew how to swallow feelings. I knew how to swallow words. Ignore them.
Right.
Because of the brain conditioning that I went through. So coming out of that and feeling the God in me, the spirit in me awaken, right, when I was a little bit older, and awakening that and learning that, or trying to figure out, we've got to pull whatever positive good things out of all of these tragic situations. The main thing is knowing and understanding and appreciating that you made it through it, right? That you got through that, and it's no longer happening to you. But not that there's like residue. There's always residue, and the residue will come up from time to time, and when it does, you just kind of, you learn how to see that disconnect and figure out how to connect it to what you're doing in the now, right? So like I take my sex abuse for example, and now I talk about it and I teach, right? Sex abuse root camp, right? Sex abuse seminars, those types of things. And really talking about the deep, dirty of it, the real icky feelings.
See, those feelings need connection. They're part of the pain.
It all needs connection, and finding. Oh my, finding. Yeah, right. Right.
Go ahead.
Go on. Yeah. My goodness.
You got to get someplace.
Right. It all starts with the awakening of your spiritual self, who you really are.
Yeah.
And wanting to be who you really are, and not walking around in a facade. So many people are walking around in a facade. They're walking around with masks on, right? Do you know the commercial I'm talking about? I think it's an antidepressant pill. I don't even know what it is. I know that it's a pharmaceutical medication I think it's for depression, or to help with your depression medicine. But you see the people in the video, and they got like a stick with a smiley face on it, and they put it in front of their face.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, and they're supposed to is showing a different expression than what's actually behind it. Right.
It's
that's that disconnect.
Yeah, so many people are living their life like that. Their whole life holding up a smiley face over this depression, and swallowing what's happened to us.
And they don't see that they're rejecting the person in front of them.
Right.
They don't see it that way. They see it as, I'm hiding from that person. You're hiding from that person, but that person feels like you're rejecting them.
Oh man.
So they don't see that there's two sides to it, and you grow up living that.
Yeah.
You'll grow up being that.
Yeah, for
and once you have that identity just kind of sticks. That's your fight. Your fight is, I've got to keep this identity intact, and they've got to love me this way.
Right.
Well, then you have to ask yourself the question, what do you love about being that way? And they don't want to hear that.
Right.
You've got to open up that pain, because they need to hear that. They need to be able to know that connection is a real thing. And if you stay stuck in your head, you got to get back into your feelings somehow.
Right.
The only way through that is through your pain that you've let go of or thought that you didn't need to. You decided you needed to get rid of it. You don't get rid of pain.
Right.
You live
Right.
pain. Your love will be much stronger, much more vibrant. I mean, look at what you've done to me. I mean, you're the pain of my life.
Well, yeah, you're the pain in mine sometimes. I get that. I understand that.
Connection has to have that.
Right.
Is that not what we're finding?
I mean, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, but the thing is why are we keeping it from each other?
Well, it's
Everything you said.
conditioning. It's conditioning.
It's everything you said. It's everything you said. The way it just
We grow
you get
up
stuck in that.
and I don't think I've ever talked to anybody. Well, there's a few, but most people, I would say 90% of people that we talk to, right? Don't have the connection that they would like to have with their families, parents, children.
That's where it starts. You don't even realize your choices you're making in connection show up from just that disconnection.
Right.
And that disconnect is, you're thinking it's them. It's always been them. But no, it's been you. And you can't see that because it's deep on the inside of you, because your pain has shaped you.
Yeah.
You don't even know that your pain has shaped you and that you can change the shape of it.
90% of the people don't understand that it all is connected. How you were raised, what you believe in, what even your thought processes are, right? Builds a person, builds a human being, and then all of a sudden this human being gets old enough to start feeling instead of thinking.
Ooh.